Hey guys, welcome to the All Things Running podcast. It is Jacob here, and today I sit down and talk with Billy Caldwell, who is now the head coach for East Carolina University's cross country program and will be the assistant coach for the track program there for the distance team. So, nonetheless, this was a really good chat with him, and it was cool to talk with a fellow coach who has a fair bit of experience in the realm of coaching a team, coming from a background of being a volunteer assistant coach at Pitt for a couple years, as well as the assistant coach for Robert Morris University in the last two seasons leading up to this one. So, nonetheless, it was a good chat with him. I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, rate the podcast, give it 5 stars, and I hope to see you in the next one. What's up, Billy?
Yo, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You got it? There we go.
Nice, dude.
What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm great. How's coaching been? You enjoying it so far?
Huh?
You enjoying it so far?
Oh, love it down here, man. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
How'd
How'd the meet go this last Friday?
it went all right. I mean, I'm gonna surprise some people this year. We're pretty deep on the men's side. And they're starting to run together as a group. We had a lot of guys get sick like 3 weeks ago, and so they're still like working their way through that. A lot of them, like we had 5 guys that it was their first 8K they've ever run. So
Oh wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
like half of our, I guess, like, I mean, we raced 11, so over half our I guess roughly half of our guys, first 8K.
Yeah.
The women, I think they did a really good job. Some individuals, the team score will get a lot better. We have one girl, our top girl right now, she's a nursing major, so dealing with the academic side of things and dealing with all that is a little bit challenging because, man, she worked 3 overnight shifts, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So obviously we not bring her with us, and so adding her back in, and then we have a group coming off of some injuries that has been working out and looking really good. We just wanted to keep them training and progressing the right way before we race them. So, we're going to Coastal in 2 weeks, so we'll be good.
Awesome, man. Yeah. Sounds like once you get past the sickness here, you guys are gonna be really strong. So
Yeah, I'm
that's good to
excited.
hear.
I'm excited. We had a really young, really good class of freshmen that came in this year, and a transfer kid. So yeah, they're talented. So which is fun.
Yeah, sounds like it. You said you had 6 kids or 8 kids their first 8K to it.
6 or 5,
6.
5 of 11. Yeah. So yeah, we had 2 sets of twins, who are from here in North Carolina, like 2 sets of 4 guys, that are 2 sets of twins. So
that's funny.
You can definitely tell who the 2 are. Who one set of the twins are. I don't, like, if you looked at a picture, you couldn't tell who the other ones were. And then we got a kid transfer down here from Penn State. So he's a PA kid, which makes me feel a little bit more at home. So
yeah, absolutely. That's exciting when you have a young team because I'm sure you're probably going to be continuing this job for at least a couple of years or a few years, who knows?
Yeah.
But you can kind of look long term with these younger kids and really develop them to really strong athletes.
Exactly. And the biggest piece of it is, a lot of times our athletes sell the program more than we sell it sometimes. And so having some of the best kids in North Carolina, on our team, everyone sees that, and they start running well. It builds confidence throughout the group. So
that's super exciting. We'll talk about that later down the road. I have a few things I want to talk about today. First of which is your origins in running. Obviously, you don't do quite as much running as you used to, but you were a pretty talented.
All right, man.
Athlete.
Don't roast me right from the start. Man. Come on.
No, I'm gonna hype you up. Don't worry about it. But you were a very talented athlete. In the beginning of your career and through your time at Pitt. And so everyone, I'm talking to Billy Caldwell right now, who's currently the head coach of East Carolina University for their cross country program, and you're also going to be the assistant coach for the track and field program, correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yes. So, very exciting things for Billy here. And so that was a big topic I want to talk about today. A little bit of background to you, Billy. I'm just going to throw some times out there and stuff. Right. Just the audience knows you were wicked fast, man. ran the PRs of 153, 55 in the 800 during your time at Pitt from 2014 to 2018. You also ran 350, 50 in the 1500 meter, 829, 41 in the 3K, and you ran 24:54 in the 8K for cross country.
Don't forget the 907 steeple in there, man. Come on.
Oh man, I did you dirty with that. That's pretty impressive.
I made first rounds of the steeple. Don't count that out.
Yeah, your steeple was actually really good. I totally my bad, bro. And then also during that time you were pursuing a master's in exercise science, starting in 2018 with Pitt, and you were Pitt's volunteer assistant coach at that point in time.
Yeah.
Starting to get some experience in coaching, and you also worked a couple jobs in 2018 and 2019 for Faster Performance, which kind of like speed development type of company, and then also you were a strength coach intern for UPMC Sports Performance in the summer of 2019. So you're kind of getting some experience there with coaching and developing athletes and their explosiveness. I didn't know that you really had more of a background in like speed development than distance, which is interesting.
Yeah. No, and it was good. I mean, I'm when I go to convention and stuff like that, I sit in the sprint stuff. I like to hear the sprint side of things. I think, at the end of the day, distance running is slow sprinting. So you got to know how to be quick and, coming at it from a sprint side a little bit. I mean, understanding kind of speed development is really important, especially, if you're looking at championship racing, it's not just let's go rip fast PRs. It's really comes down to, hey, who can change gears and close really hard. And so that's kind of how I look at running a little bit, which we can get into a little bit more, but
yeah, absolutely. I would be curious to hear. I'm getting a little sidetracked, but how much is that involved in your coaching now, with that speed side? Like, do you incorporate a lot of things that you learned from that into your coaching now?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Our warm up that we do every single day, we do sprint drills. We do strides every single day. Even long run days, it's always good to turn it over. And, running fast is a rhythm thing, right? If you don't do it for a while, your body forgets how to do it and it takes a while, right? So you spend in, like, let's say track season, right? You come off track season, right? You just spent from December all the way to June, trying to be a better miler, right? What happens if we go into the summer, right, where we go back into that base phase, we take a little break, we go back in. If we don't touch that mile effort and that mile speed, our body forgets to do it. And, are we going to go all the way back to where we were? No, but you get to a point where, hey, if you keep touching it and keep the wheels rolling, that you'll be able to maintain that speed a little bit more and are able to kind of apply that when you get to track season, and even in cross, it's important. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely helpful to come from that side of things. I think a lot of coaches probably oversee that and don't think to incorporate that as much as they should, because you really can throw strides into like every run. So it's highly beneficial. So I think that's definitely an oversight for a lot of coaching out there. And then finishing our background here, just to get back on track here. You were also Robert Morris University's assistant coach for 2 seasons. And you coached Martha Gardner to a school record in the 3,000 meter steeplechase, which was pretty impressive. I think she ran 11:14.
Yeah, something around there. Maybe less. 16-ish. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
At the P3R track and field meet, which I was also at for. Yeah. Or I ran my PR in the 15.
No, that was the year before.
Really? Yeah. Okay, that was the year before. Okay, the year following though, I attended that meet, and that was a pretty awesome track there, gotta say.
Yeah.
And then obviously, this year you were hired on as head coach for ECU for cross country. So super exciting stuff. Let's go right into the mix here. I want to talk about your origins in running first, and sort of how you got into coaching from that. So when did you start getting into running? What kind of cued your interest?
So kind of going back, if we think about origins of running, like I didn't start out as a runner, right? Growing up, I played everything, but baseball and soccer were kind of my two that I really loved. always growing up, I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so grew up a pretty big Phillies fan. Obviously, when Phillies won the 2008 World Series and stuff like that. So always wanted to play baseball, always wanted to play soccer, and got to a point kind of in high school where I was not done with baseball, but it kind of ran its course, and I was playing soccer and focusing on soccer pretty heavily. And then wanted to do something in the spring. Obviously, was playing on some travel teams, but needed something else to do. So I ran track. I had a bunch of friends in high school that ran track, and so freshman year, started running and playing soccer, and kind of was doing both through that spring and through that time, just kind of struggled with some soccer stuff, just wasn't playing that much on the team I was, and just wasn't having fun anymore. And and so kind of got into running full time then, if that makes sense. So ended up being pretty good, finished second in the state in the mile my senior year, and ran pretty well, which was always fun. But I think the biggest thing that really drew me to running is the people in the sport, right? It's a very close-knit group. Obviously that's how we met, right? And most of my friends I met through running, or people that I ran with, if that makes sense. So
absolutely.
That's kind of how I got into running, and kind of took it from there. Was one, to stay in shape for soccer, and then just kind of fall in love with it, right? And the people around it are the most important, and just having fun. It was a much different experience than kind of playing any of the other sports I played on. It's more for me, it was just like, one, I was good, so it made it fun. But two, it was just like, hey, this is, everyone is a little bit more supportive, and it's very objective in the time. Hey, you got to run. If you run fast, you run fast. If you don't, that's fine. And there was a lot of people that running fast wasn't always the goal, but everyone still supported that person. And that's what I really enjoyed when I first got into running. And kind of through my time at Pitt, I always knew I wanted to work in sports, and something with that. Growing up, I had some really, really awesome coaches. My high school Coach Reed, who's someone that I still talk to today. It has been awesome. My dad was actually my coach growing up in baseball, so which was always fun. But always had really, really good coaches kind of growing up, in every sport I played. And coaches that really made me feel like were not, that the sport wasn't always the final goal, if that makes sense, and really trying to support me to be the best overall person I can be through sports, if that makes sense. So kind of growing up, I always knew I wanted to do something in sports. Sports was always a huge part of my life, but didn't know what that was. And then kind of got into college, and started to find coaching, and once I got into like my major, both, and then kind of got into coaching, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is what I want to do. And it's been fun, and being able to meet a lot of really awesome people and have some really awesome mentors to help me within the sport has been awesome. So
that's awesome, dude. Yeah. How do you think your exercise science has kind of played into your coaching? Do you think that it plays a part in that? I mean, I'm sure it does.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the program I was in was awesome, and at the time, helped me a lot in terms of, just having an understanding of the science behind why we do what we do, and the science behind, hey, this is how the body is set up and operates. And that gave me a lot of kind of insight on a lot of things in terms of the science behind things. I'm not a guy that's like, hey, we got to do X at, VO2 max, this, like, and throw a bunch of percentages at you. I understand what those mean, but I like to think of it as, hey, it's just distance running. And, I obviously take pieces from that and kind of apply them a little bit in terms of, hey, this is what the goal is. This is why we do this, and this. But, I like to try to simplify it as much as possible and make it easy to understand. And hey, this is why we do this, and this is what's going to get on race day. This is how this is going to help us be better as we kind of go through, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. So when did you really know, you kind of hinted at this, but when did you really know you wanted to like pursue coaching at a higher level, say, being a head coach for ECU at this point in time? When did you kind of know you wanted to pursue it more seriously?
Yeah.
Because you started as a volunteer assistant coach at Pitt. So
Yeah. I mean, I've known that I've wanted to coach at a high level, like since I was in middle of college. Like, Coach Jackson, was my coach throughout college. He's now he's the distance coach at University of Central Florida now. So I get to see him at conference this year, which will be fun. So he was awesome, and kind of in some of our individual meetings, just kind of talking through, hey, what do you want to do? And I hinted that, hey, I wanted to get into coaching, and he was super supportive and kind of led me down some paths that I investigated and read some books and different stuff that really has helped me in my life, coaching wise, and kind of from there just knew, hey, this is what I wanted to do. And so knowing that, like I say, okay, so once I graduated undergrad, I was like, hey, what's the next step? Like, how do I take this to the next level? And everyone I talked to was like, hey, get your master's and find somewhere to volunteer. So luckily I was able to get into the master's program at Pitt, and talking with Coach Webb and staying there has been awesome, to really help me kind of on that next step. And Coach Herbster came in that same year that I was starting as a volunteer, and man, it's weird. He's probably one of my best friends, if that's a little weird, but it's been good, and definitely awesome support staff to help me kind of to where I am today. So
great. What were some of the what was your experience like being a volunteer assistant coach? I mean, it was probably a bit more individualized than your coaching for RMU and now ECU. Would you say that's the case, or?
No, I mean, just as a volunteer, you have a little bit. It's a lot of learning, right? It's a lot of being kind of thrown into the fire and just kind of being around, right? And that was the biggest thing when I started volunteering. The biggest thing I said, man, I'm going to be there as much as I can, right? Obviously, I was in school, I was teaching classes as part of my master's program, and but man, I was there as much as I could be, right? I was at every meet that I could be at, and just around that world, right? Be around coaching, be around, right? I paid for myself to go to a convention, like doing things like that, because that stuff's really, really important, right? Is to be at those places, and just be around high level coaches was awesome, right? And so as a volunteer, it's I mean, I won't say I was a glorified stopwatch holder, but I started out as that, and luckily Coach Herbster and I kind of gained some trust within each other, and he let me take some guys and some girls and be able to coach them kind of on my own. And then obviously this job at RMU opened up in January of 2020. I kind of moved over there and started to build that program up, kind of using the things I learned as a volunteer and the things I watched Coach Herbster do, and the other coaches I was around. That's kind of how I started with all that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And so it sounds like you definitely have more experience coaching like from a team aspect. You didn't really come into your RMU being like an individual, coaching more individuals. It's always kind of been team oriented for you.
Yeah. And it needs to be. I mean, so when I call recruits and talk through, hey, this is what, and they ask, what's your philosophy, right? It's very individualized, right? Every single person on our team gets a different training plan each week. And that's not something I'm not just saying that because that's what people want to hear. That's actually true, right? Everything is different. Everyone's mileage is different. The workouts might be similar. And we try to keep things together as a team as much as possible, right? So the workouts might be similar, right? When we get to the track season, we might have 4 different workouts going on within our men's team or our women's team, right? We got stuff going on for the 4-8 group. We got stuff going on for the 800 milers. We have stuff going on for the mile 3K. We have stuff going on for the 5K, 10K. And those things can be blended, right? And to really, the biggest thing about what we do is, hey, it is a team aspect, right? And that's one of the biggest things that, when I first got down here to ECU, there was a couple of different things that, hey, these are what's going to define our culture here moving forward. And one of those big things was together. It was just the word together, like being a unit, right? And Yes, it is very. So what I do and how I look at training is very individualized within the team setting, right? To make
Mm-hmm.
sure that people have people to train with, but each person is getting specifically what they need moving forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that sounds like a super tricky kind of dynamic because I talked about this before on past podcast episodes, but as a coach of a team, you do have to individualize a little bit, but you also have to generalize. You can't just have these very specific things for each person. You kind of
Yeah.
have to mesh them together so that they can work together as a team.
Yeah,
So
and for
that's
example, right, like we'll do something in this, like when we start to get into like spring track and things
mhm,
kind of break up a little bit more. Right now,
right.
luckily cross is pretty similar. Everyone's kind of at a
Yeah.
different place fitness wise. So, total volume might be different and some of the workouts might be different, but from a general perspective, yeah, I mean all doing kind of base work, right, for the track season,
Mhm,
right? Are we running race based stuff, getting ready for cross? Yeah, absolutely. But
mhm,
for our 800 girls and in our 800-mile kind of group who might not be our top, actually take that out. We're working on building that team in cross country, right? The track's a little bit different where it's a little bit more individualized, right? And so
mhm,
um it's really about building it and so like let's say in the track season there might be a day where hey the main portion of the workout right is going to be a tempo or some
mhm,
type of tempo, right? What that tempo looks like could be different for everyone. Our 4-8 girls could be doing mile reps in and out to get that, where our 10K girls might be doing it straight through, right? We can
yeah,
bring them together and still be able to use each other and utilize the group as a whole, without kind of damaging what each person needs individually. And then afterwards, right, we can be a little bit more specific, right, and have some people doing 200s after or doing thousands after based on what they need for the event that they have,
yeah,
if that makes sense. So making
yeah,
sure everyone is specific in, hey, this is what's going to be best for you, but hey,
mhm,
there's going to be other people there to help you out, and what that
yeah,
looks like might be a little bit different,
yeah.
on how everyone gets there, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think from that aspect, track can be a little bit trickier just because you have to kind of there's
Yeah.
that art form there where you have to, yeah, exactly what you just said. So it's probably nice that you're starting in cross country because you can kind of make things more generalized and hit bigger groups and not have to
Yeah.
worry necessarily too much about tailoring to each individual.
Yeah,
With
but
cross
we still
country.
do, right? We still do, right? I mean, we
Mm,
got guys on our team who have come in and been around for 4 years who are running 70-mile weeks, right? We have
yeah,
freshmen coming in that have only been running like 35-mile weeks. So we
yeah,
got to be able to, everything that they do is still individualized, right?
absolutely.
Our
Yeah,
whole group isn't all doing 15-mile long runs every weekend, right? We have guys doing
right, right.
anywhere from 7 to 15, right? We have girls doing anywhere from 6 to 12, right? It depends on the person and where they're at fitness wise, what they've
Mm,
done in the past, and where we're trying to take them here moving forward.
yeah. Yeah. So what sort of challenges did you face and from that, what takeaways did you get from your first two jobs as both a volunteer assistant coach first at Pitt and then as the head coach or assistant coach for RMU
In terms of what?
in terms of like the challenges you face in coaching the athletes and what you took away from that going into now your head coaching
Yeah.
position.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, is just, bringing positive energy every day, right? Like, if we're, like just be excited, right? Build excitement around what we're doing, celebrate the small things and kind of keep it moving, right? Like, I heard a quote the other day. What's the, it's something to the effect of what's the happiest fish or happiest animal on the planet? It's a goldfish who has a 10-second memory, can run into the wall every 10 seconds and still be happy, right? Because he forgets it, right? And take the good with the bad, understand that hey, there are going to be bad days and there's days where you don't feel good. All right, that's fine, right? Let's reset and get back to feeling good. And not, I think earlier in my career, I can get very polarizing. Like
Mm,
I I know myself, and I get fired up and both ways, right? And so the biggest thing here is hey, let's try to keep it a little bit more steady and
mm,
positive throughout. Kind of how I'm looking at things kind of moving forward is, um, you know, building excitement and building a group who's fired up to go out there every day and give really good effort, right? Whatever that is what it is, and we'll keep moving forward. So
Yeah, I think that's really important that everyone is having fun, because otherwise it's hard to stay motivated, and you
yeah,
can burn out definitely mentally, which I think has a
yeah,
huge impact on your performances later in the season. So
absolutely.
I think that's a huge thing that sometimes coaches overlook is making sure your athletes are happy. And you got to give them some things they like and they enjoy and that they're good at. But I think it's also important to throw them stuff that is going to challenge them and make them better at their weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so let's get into, main topic number two, which is your head coaching position at ECU. And the first thing I want to talk about is what are your goals and aspirations for the team? You kind of got thrown right into the mix. It seemed like you kind of
Yeah.
got thrown right into this job, and I'm sure it was kind of overwhelming at first.
Yeah, it was. Let's just say I moved into my apartment the same day that the athletes moved onto campus. I officially started like a week before preseason camp started. So was definitely a quick transition here and a little overwhelming at first, but no, I'm finally starting to settle in, and I'm excited. The biggest thing that takeaway was, man, how accepting everyone was. People were I came in and we obviously changed stuff right before the season, right? And it took a little bit for people to kind of get what we were doing, but man,
Hmm.
people were bought in from the moment I got here, and
Yeah.
that was the most exciting thing for me, and something that was really relieving was people were like, "Hey, coach, it's cool. Like we'll work with you as we kind of get moving into this, right? We're all
Yeah.
kind of new at this." We're all kind of learning what's going on, and so don't worry about it. We'll make it work, and it was awesome. So, no, I mean, I think the transition has been awesome. And, luckily we have a really, really awesome group of support, an awesome group that's super supportive of one another, but also, a really good support staff. We have a really awesome staff down here. And the resources that we have has been awesome to utilize. But, the people have made it a really easy transition, and
Mm-hmm.
whenever I need, help with something, there's always, either an athlete there or another coach there, or a coach on our staff, a coach from another team, our trainers, our compliance. Everyone has been, super welcoming and super helpful kind of as I made that transition. So, no, definitely a really good group. And, we're excited kind of going into this year. I think we're going to surprise some people here later in the year as we get some people back and continue to build some fitness.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest goal is, hey, let's move forward, right? Let's keep pushing forward. My goal every single year is to win the conference title, right? And if you're a coach and that's not your goal, then maybe like we got to look at something else, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
the end all be all? Absolutely not, right? And I
Mm-hmm.
would love to sit here and say that next year we're going to win, or this year we're going to win. That might not be the case, right? But the biggest thing is we're taking the steps in the right direction, and finding wins in different ways, and building progress on where we're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's kind of the biggest thing, right? My goal obviously is to continue to build this group, and really give some awesome, build that culture of what we want here moving forward, is the biggest thing for this year. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, yeah, we want to run fast, and we are going to run fast, but that's the biggest thing for me this year, is really just establishing, hey, this is what life's going to be like moving forward, and let's do this thing, right? And this
Yeah.
isn't just, this is your team. It's something we talked to the team about. Hey, this is your team, right? You guys are the ones that put the uniform on at the end of the day. I'm your guide to that, and let's work together to figure out what works best for you, and move forward that way.
Yeah. So going back to kind of what you said towards the beginning of your answer, you mentioned how, there's that initial period where you're trying to get your athletes to buy into the training, because, there's always that initial angst when a new coach comes into a
Yeah.
program, because the coaching style might be different, and it could take some time to kind of really see the full benefits of a new coaching style. So what was that process like? How did you get your athletes to buy into your philosophies and stuff, and what was that first week like as well on top of that?
Yeah, the first week was, I mean, a little bit hectic, right? I'm trying to move in and do everything I need to do in my personal life. And
Mm,
they're all trying to move in and do everything they're doing, right? And so it was a little hectic in that sense. But from the buy-in, right? That really wasn't a whole issue, right? We have a really, really good group of older athletes on the team who
mm,
were excited that I was here, and excited to see something different. And the coaches that were here before did a great job and built a really, really good group of individuals, and individuals who were they were excited, right? And were open to try new things, and they knew, like, hey, they had some big goals, and they wanted to try something a little bit different than what they were doing.
mm,
And it was pretty quick where they were like, coach, like, we get it. And, like, within that first week, they were like, coach, like, we're gonna be good, like, we
yeah.
got you, and we're gonna make sure everyone's on board, right? And so,
Hmm, hmm.
like I said, we had a really good group of older individuals, both on the men and the women's team. And once we started to get rolling, they were like, oh, it's gonna be awesome, and we're really fired up about it. So no, definitely, it was a hard transition at first, but
Hmm.
like I said, the athletes have made it so much easier. And we're super open-minded and accepting of everything new that I wanted to implement. And you know immediately saw, hey, this is going to help us, right? Do we
Hmm.
like doing it at first? No, it's always going to be awkward when we doing new drills and stuff. But they were like, okay, like, we get it. Like, once we got a week in and they started doing it every day, they're like, oh no, we get it. This works, and we're going to be good.
Yeah. So I suspect since you kind of got thrown in the mix later into the year, did they have a different coach that was coaching them in the beginning of the summer and in the middle
Yeah,
as well?
he left in the middle of summer, so yeah.
Okay, so you kind of picked up where he left off, and so they probably had some fitness going into,
Yeah,
when
no,
you
and
started.
it's not like no one was running over summer. They're all
Yeah.
fit and they're all ready to go. It's just, do new drills and new, hey, this is our warm up. This is what we do after. These are the little things that we do before and after. That was kind of the biggest transition. But from a running perspective, and I'm pretty simple with, I try to, like I said, I try to make things pretty simple. Hey, what we do, everyone does the same thing, right? At the end of the day, it's, we run a lot, we run fast some days, we run slow some days, and it's pretty simple. So, from the run side of things, it wasn't that much of a change. The biggest change was, like I said, the drills. We got them back in the weight room, which they were excited about, and
Mm,
did some different stuff like that to make sure that
yeah.
they're more well-rounded as athletes, and moving forward. So
So you kind of got at this, but how did you land the position? I mean, you said that their coach kind of left them in the middle of the summer, and you picked up where they left off. But how kind of did you come into this position?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, I'm lucky. Like I said, earlier, I'm lucky to have some really good mentors, and this position came open, and people knew that this position came open, and kind of just referred me and said, hey, this
Mm,
guy gonna be your guy. And
yeah.
met Coach Kraft, a couple times before, and then talked to him on the phone a couple times. And it seemed to be a good fit, both for him bringing me in, but also me, like, I saw, what we could do down here, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome. So
That's great. One thing that I always love to hear is kind of what what does a week look like for you? Let's say a non-racing week where you can throw in two workouts in a long run. What does that week look like? And you also mentioned how you incorporate lifting now into their training. So I would love to hear kind of start, Monday or Sunday, whatever the first day
yeah,
of the
so we
week
start
is.
Sunday, and so we go. Like I said before, right? Everything is very individualized. So what that week looks like is a little bit different for each person.
Mm,
But from a general overall perspective, Sundays are long run. Man, we got a great long run spot down here. It's called Dirt Road. It's 15 miles, 15
ooh,
minutes from campus. It's just
sweet.
this dirt road that we can get on, through like some cornfields and cotton fields, and hunting fields,
Ooh.
which is awesome. We're out there, and all of a sudden, all these hunting dogs start running with us. We're like, I'm like, what is going on? They're like, coach, this is what happens every week. So yeah, you'll be good. So that's Sunday. So we'll do Sunday long run. Monday, is just a really easy general run. Some
Mm.
of our kids like to cross train that day. We don't meet for practice on Mondays. That's our off NCAA off day. So,
Right.
they either do a short shakeout, they'll cross train, they'll take off kind of depending on the person. Tuesday is going to be our workout day. Especially now going to be very much aerobic based. Our tempos, our progressions, longer intervals, fartleks, things like that. Wednesday, Thursday, just general run and some strides. Friday, a little bit more event specific workout, and Saturday, either, cross training or, some like to take some cross train that day, some,
Mhm.
run that day, some do different stuff. Right. And, we're lucky we have some really awesome resources where we can get people on an ultra G, we can get people in underwater treadmills, we can get people in pools. So, we can still get a lot of the same fitness that we would just running, but just
Mhm.
kind of manage, the load on some people that we know,
Mhm.
hey, this flares up when we do X, Y, Z. So let's manage
Mhm.
it a little bit and put them in,
Yeah.
different use the resources that we have to help them out, which was
Yeah.
awesome. So, and then we just lift twice a week. And we have some really good strength and conditioning coaches right now who, have done a really good job working with our group. And, what we do in there, we're not in there trying to, bench and squat the house, right? It's really about, hey, let's be a better athlete. Let's learn how to move. Let's learn how to, hinge. Let's learn how to just
Mhm.
operate athletically.
Right.
And yeah, we'll get stronger, right? Being in there, we will get stronger. So then we can, one, run faster, right?
Mhm.
The stronger you are, sometimes the faster you run, from a, physiological standpoint,
Mhm.
right? And two, just being able to withstand more volume running wise is another huge benefit that we look for, out of the
Mm.
weight room, right?
Mhm.
Just being stronger and able to handle more is something that's really important. And I think being in the weight room is super, super important. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, every day we'll do something extra, whether it's, within our strides, we do hurdle mo, wickets, all that kind of fun stuff. So yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I think lifting is super important and often overlooked, but
Yeah.
it's
Oh, absolutely.
greatly beneficial, especially for maintaining good form toward the later portions of a race, and also
Yeah.
developing that explosiveness, which can really help you towards the end of a season when
Yeah.
you're really starting to hit those speed workouts and get the gears
Yeah.
turning a little bit faster. Do you throw the are there strength workouts like lifting sessions on the workout days? So like Tuesday,
Um,
Friday,
Tuesday, Thursday for us
Tuesday,
right
Thursday.
now, just, working with class schedules. That's kind of the time that it worked. And so, yeah, I mean, we manage, we work, our strength coaches, like I said, do a great job. And, if we, know we have a big race coming up, we can manage different stuff and, change some stuff around. And he knows our
Mhm.
schedule and knows kind of what we're doing. So, so yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, we go Tuesday. It depends. Yeah. On the season. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's awesome that you have a strength and conditioning coaches that can kind of take over that side of things.
Yeah.
You don't really have to worry about that. You can really just focus on the running part.
Yeah.
But that's cool. I mean, you're probably do you go to the sessions? I'm sure you probably do, and you
Yeah,
probably
no, I
learn a
go,
thing
I
or
go, I
two.
go watching. Man, we have literally one of the nicest weight rooms in the country down here, which is awesome. It's, if you ever watch an ECU football game on TV, if you look at one of the end zones, there's like a building there, and like field level, there's just glass windows, and behind those glass windows is our weight room. So we look
Awesome.
out over the football stadium, which is awesome, and they're actually
Yeah,
building another weight room right now, which is awesome. So yeah, we're pretty
that's
lucky with, yeah. So I go in and I watch what we do, and,
mhm.
it's an opportunity for me to kind of see how people are moving, and, we can kind of manage some load off of, hey, this person just looks tired or
Yeah.
XYZ. But yeah, so
Yeah, that's probably a good learning opportunity for you as well because you can kind of see, how things are going with the athletes and how they're moving, and see how these strength and conditioning coaches are approaching the lifting.
yeah,
So going forward, it's probably going to be beneficial for you
yeah,
if you end up
absolutely,
having to take on more of that responsibility in the future.
yeah,
Um, you mentioned the dirt road. Is it like
yeah.
rolly?
No, dude, we're in Eastern North Carolina. We're there's, Yeah, people say there's hills. I'm like, dude, go to Pittsburgh. There's no hills here in North Carolina. So, no, I mean, it's just, no, there's a couple of rolls here and there, but, it's pretty flat down here. So I'm really able to kind of get really quality runs in, and, similar to, Panhandle or Montour in Pittsburgh for those, that who know Pittsburgh, but, or for you who kind of understand. So, but yeah, I mean, it's awesome. It's like 4.5, you can get like close to 5 miles on it. And then if you kind of go up a road and then turn on another one, you can get up to 7, kind of out and back. So it's a really good place to run. And, no, it's awesome out there. It's awesome out there. So, yeah.
That's great. And one other thing, as a coach myself, I just find this interesting, like the art of periodization and breaking training up into different sections. You mentioned how right now it's mostly aerobic work, developing that base before really turning it up. But when are you going to start incorporating more speed into the training?
Yeah, I mean, I'm someone who looks at it as, hey, we need to be touching on every system, everything all year long, right?
Mhm.
I don't think we need, hey, you can't ever forget one. You always got to be touching everything at every point in the year, right? Do we
Mhm.
specialize and run a little bit quicker in some than others? Yeah, absolutely. And so this week we're gonna start kind of getting some wheels rolling and do some, closer to VO2 max kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Looking at it. So, we're going to be running quick on Friday, so I'm excited. I'm excited.
that's awesome. What do you got your eyes on? What's kind of the big race? It's probably obviously NCAA's
Yeah, for us, I think right
conference.
now, I think our conference championship and
Yeah,
the regional
yeah,
championship are kind of the two big ones that we're looking at here for the next couple weeks. So yeah,
yeah. And last question before we get into a bit more of a general slash fun section.
yeah.
I would love to hear three key things you have as advice for coaches out there who are coaching teams. Like what have been three big things for you?
Yeah, keep it simple, right? That's the big thing for me, right? It doesn't. It's distance running, right? It's not. This isn't. Obviously, when you get to a certain level, you got to kind of be pretty specific with things, and even at our level, I mean, obviously, hey, this is what race pace feels like, right? Like we got to understand what that. But at the end of the day, it's just distance running, right? It's not that complicated. You run fast sometimes, you run long sometimes, you run slow sometimes, and kind of just making sure that you're hitting everything is, it's not for something like us, it's not the biggest, we're not saying, oh, we got to run 60% of heart rate max today or 60% VO2 or whatever the numbers are. Like we don't talk about numbers. We say, hey, this is, run how you feel, understand your body, and it's keep it pretty simple, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's one. um Two is, man, have fun, enjoy it, celebrate the small things, celebrate the small goals. Like, one of the big things, when I first got here, there's a group that, got hurt kind of last spring, and we're still working back and, hadn't started workouts, right? We celebrate, hey, people getting out of boots. We want to celebrate, people doing their first workouts back. We want to celebrate, people doing their first long run back. Like celebrate those things, because those are just as important as, standing on top of a podium is. And, I mentioned it before, and part of that is competing, right? I mentioned kind of our culture and things that define our culture, and, together was one, but another big one is just compete, right? And compete everywhere, right? And
Yeah.
competing doesn't always mean, hey, being on the top of the podium, right? That means, competing to get out of a boot, competing to be in the top 7 to go to our conference championship. Competing looks like in the classroom, right? Competing to get the best grades possible, right? Competing can look like a lot of different stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of, the big, that's number 2, celebrate the small things and work on competing. And, the last one, I guess would be, like I said, just enjoy it, enjoy the process, enjoy, making sure that people are developing,
Mhm.
wholeheartedly, right, in every aspect of their life, right? As
Mhm.
coaches, yeah, do we want them to run fast? Yeah, absolutely. But we also, are in charge of developing, people, as well. And that's something that,
Yeah.
I think can get overlooked sometimes.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, right? Most of the athletes, I would love to sit here and say 100% of the athletes we coach are going to be professionals. That's not the case, right? But they
Mhm.
do have to go get jobs. They do want to go start families, right? And we want to support them in doing things that help them progress in all aspects of their life. And if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll get into our last section here, and then I'll let you go. So, first of all, what is some of your one or two of your favorite workouts to throw at your athletes?
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. From a middle distance perspective, I kind of came into college being a little bit more of a middle distance guy and moved up eventually. But one of my favorite workouts was 3x400. Oh, that thing is tough. 3x400 with
Geez.
8 minutes rest. And yeah, you got to run quick.
Oh,
So
oh
that's a
man.
good one. Just the classic progression, the classic tempo kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't like to complicate too much, but there's some stuff that we you always got to hit and are kind of staples. So yeah.
Yeah, I could tell there was a little excitement there when you mentioned how, come this Friday you're gonna throw some speed at your
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah.
So definitely that middle distance background coming through, shining through.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. Hopefully, they're ready for it. They're, we've done enough to this point to be ready to roll. So yeah.
What are you gonna throw at them? Can you tell?
Uh,
You gonna
it's going
keep
to
it
be a little
quiet?
bit different. The men and the women are going to be a little bit different. It's, kind of, for us, right? Our conference championship is a 2K flat 2K loop. So we got to be ready to
Okay.
run fast. And so,
Mhm.
kind of doing some kind of mile stuff, and not mile specific, but doing like a mile, then a couple eights and another mile. The women are going to do a
Mhm.
K, a couple sixes and another K. So, yeah, just a little bit different,
Okay.
broken up a little bit different way. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, I'll take that as an answer. That's fair.
Yeah.
Can't give away your secrets.
Yeah.
And okay, what is your favorite coaching memory to date?
Um, that's a good one, and part of it was, when I was at RMU was, being able to start the men's cross country team. When I first got there, it was just the women, and being able to, we got told in November that we had to race a team that next year, and so being able to build that from ground up, and being able to recruit all those guys, obviously, wish them the best of luck, and wish the women there the best of luck. But I think that was a lot of fun, and being able to, see the kids come in, from, we'd start talking to them as juniors in high school, and kind of seeing them develop until, they graduate,
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah.
Okay. Next one is, you know, I'd be interested to hear this because you're middle distance background, but also you're head coach for a cross country program now.
Yeah.
Uh, what kind of is, the favorite distance you like to coach at? Do you have a favorite distance or not really?
I don't have a favorite distance. I like coaching them all. I mean, I always have a soft spot for the steeple and the mile, but no, I think there is awesome nuances in every single event that I don't think
Mm.
people realize. If you're just a miler, there's things about the 10K that make the 10K awesome, right? There's things about the, every single event. Obviously I was a steeple mile kind of 15 guy. And so I obviously love that, but I love everything. It's been awesome. So yeah.
Cool. Last thing here, I'll just give you two options and you tell me your preference and then we'll let you go. So track or road?
Track,
Okay. Cross country or road?
cross country.
Okay. Split shorts or half tights?
Depends on the day.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What does
I was
that
kind
mean?
of, I mean, like in workout days, go the half tights, feel fast,
Okay.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Feel like a pro a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Running hat or no hat?
Oh, hat all day.
Backward? Forward?
Depends on if you gotta, you turn it backwards when things get fast. So yeah.
That last
You
couple of reps, turn it
yeah.
backwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tempos or speed work?
Speed.
Okay.
But I will say, once I figured out how to tempo, I started racing a lot better.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Long runs or speed?
Speed.
Okay. Uh, long runs or workouts?
Probably, I don't know. They're different, right? There's a yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Probably long run,
Okay. Okay. Are you saying that from a coaching perspective or a running perspective?
running perspective.
Okay. Okay.
But coaching perspective, there's a lot, like I bike a lot of times with our
Mhm.
athletes when they're doing their long run. And so that's a time for us to it just, you just start talking about different stuff, and you learn a lot about the athletes, in those conversations when they're out running. And so I that's what I enjoy about the long run. And the workouts, it's just fun to watch people run fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. Mile or steeple? 3,000.
Steeple.
Okay. 800 or
yeah, it's probably steeple.
okay. 800 or steeple?
Steeple, absolutely.
Okay.
800 hard. Yeah.
Do you give a lot of kudos, or are you selective with your kudos?
Oh, big Strava kudos guy.
Blow up everyone's kudos. All right.
Absolutely.
I love that. Even like a 2-mile run, just give it the kudos.
You gotta do more than just a 2-mile run, but yeah.
All right. Conservative racing or going all out, front running it?
I think there's something to appreciate in both, and kind of depending on what the situation calls for. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I'm a little split on that one.
Okay. Sunday or Saturday long runs?
Sunday. Church of the Sunday long run, man. Come
on. Training or racing?
Racing.
Okay.
But you can't get to the race without the training, so I guess training.
There you go. All right. That's all I had for you, man. So this was fun. You kind of mentioned it. I mean, you might have additional tips, so I'll ask anyway. Do you have any tips for those hoping to coach a team someday?
No, man, just keep working, right? There's a lot of really awesome resources out there to take advantage of, and just go find them and check it out, right? There's there's a lot of really awesome resources in different courses you can take and different stuff you can do. So yeah.
Do you have any book recommendations? You mentioned you read a lot of books.
What do I mean, all the classic running books, right?
Jack Daniels running formula.
Daniels.
Yeah.
All those Daniels and all those different ones. But
yeah, I got you. Yeah. Cool. All right, man. This was fun.
Perfect.
Best of luck for ECU. Go Pirates, man.
Yeah, let's go Pirates.
I hope you guys have a great season.
Throw the crossbones up, you got it.
Go Pirates, baby. Let's go.
So, yeah. That's good.
Best of luck. Congratulations
Thanks,
on your head coaching position, and I hope you guys kill it this season. So
thank you. It'll be fun.
Yeah, man. All right. I'll catch you around, Billy.
All right. See ya.
See ya.